Hi, I'm Skilla, and this is Nerd Stuff with Skilla, and I just finished watching the second episode of Season 2 of Stranger Things. It's called Trick or Treat Freak. There will be spoilers ahead, so if you're not caught up on Stranger Things up through episode 2 of Season 2, please go get caught up before watching this video. A lot of different things happen in this episode. We find out a lot of what happened to Eleven after the very end of Season 1. So after she goes into the Upside Down, defeating the Demogorgon, she's walking around in the Upside Down school for a while, and she starts hearing like cop chatter through the red portal. She eventually climbs back through that and then is surviving in the woods for a while. Like, we see her hair grow throughout the flashback scenes of this, and so we know that she's been out there for a while. Before she went into the woods, she stopped in at Mike's house and saw that it was surrounded by cops, and she hears Mike saying, she might not hear it, but we hear Mike saying that he would never give them any information about where she is, and they make eye contact through the window, and then the cops chase her out into the woods, and that's why she's surviving in the woods. We haven't seen her actually meet up with Hopper yet, but we see that he's leaving her Eggos and stuff in these little boxes in the woods. When we get back to present day, she's trying to convince Hopper that she should be allowed to go out to trick or treat because she can wear a costume. She says she wants to be a ghost, and that way nobody would be able to tell who she is. And it was a cute little scene. They have just the most adorable dynamic between the two of them. There's a lot of adorableness going on in this episode, really. As we know already, all of the boys dressed up as Ghostbusters for Halloween. They go into school and they realize that nobody has dressed up for Halloween, and so they're really not happy about that because they look like idiots, or they think they look like idiots. Obviously, they looked awesome. Eventually, the boys decide that they're going to talk Max into going out trick-or-treating with them, and she doesn't really seem down with it, but eventually she does go trick-or-treating with them. And it seems like Mike is getting kind of annoyed, thinking that they're trying to replace Eleven with this other girl, Max, maybe, or maybe it's just him missing her that's making him act the way that he's acting. They're out trick-or-treating, and Will passes out and drops into the Upside Down. And he sees this, it's probably the same monster from the first episode. I haven't went back to watch it, but it's this big giant like multi-limbed tornado monster that's chasing him, and it's really crazy. And this prompts him to actually tell Mike what's going on, because apparently he hasn't been telling anybody exactly what he's seeing, none of his friends anyway. Mike contacts Eleven in this episode, or tries to contact her, and she does like her own sensory deprivation chamber by blindfolding herself and putting on static on the TV, drops down and sees him trying to call out to her and says Mike, and he hears her, and he listens for a minute, and then he shuts down his walkie-talkie and walks away. Eleven is also like learning from TV shows, words and stuff, and we see that Hopper is giving her a word of the day to learn. We find out that Max's brother is a total dick. Like, he's being super mean to her in the car, and then he runs the four boys off the road. He's doing a keg stand later in the episode because we see Nancy and Steve at the sheet-faced party. And at that party, Nancy gets super wasted, and eventually Jonathan decides to show up, and she gets really drunk, and she tells Steve that it's all bullshit, she says several times, and he asks her if she loves him, essentially, and she just says it's bullshit. And so he storms off, and Jonathan swoops in and saves the day and takes her back home and lays her in bed. I'm not really sure where her parents were while he was taking her up to her bedroom. Nancy also says in this episode that she thinks that they should come clean with Barb's parents, and Steve talks her out of it. Well, Jonathan is the one who let Will go trick-or-treating on his own. Clearly, Joyce was not going to be cool with that, because every scene with her in it, she is just super worried about him. Every single second that we see her on screen, like, other than, like, she gets some comfort from Bob, but she also is just worried about Will all the time. So clearly Jonathan is going to get in deep shit over this. Like, his mom is not going to be cool with him leaving Will out to go trick-or-treating on his own, especially since he had an episode while he was out. It's definitely going to be a problem that we visit in episode 3, I'm sure. Frankenstein is mentioned a couple of times in this episode, and I think it's kind of symbolic to Eleven, because she's kind of Frankenstein's monster in her mind. I think that's why they kind of drove that imagery home, because she's a creation, sort of, and Frankenstein's monster, of course, is Frankenstein's monster. There is a rumbling in a trash can throughout this episode that Dustin keeps on seeing, and at the end of the episode he finally goes to investigate the rumbling, and when he looks down at the bottom, he can clearly, something's trapped inside of there. It doesn't sound very earthly, so maybe we're gonna get some sort of weird animated small monster in the next episode. I'm not really sure. He didn't seem scared of it when he saw it, so I'm really excited to see what that is and ready to go and watch it. Comment down below if you want to have a conversation about Stranger Things Season 2. Try not to be too spoilery. Give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to hear about more nerdy stuff from me, and as always, thank you so much for watching.